Good morning. I am in Western North Carolina again. We're doing a van life trip, and I just think that these scenic backgrounds are so enjoyable and beautiful and fun. So I wanted to share with you where I was and do a fun Pilates ball class. So we'll get started. First, I've been sleeping in the van for the night and there was a lot of sitting, so kind of feel like stretching through the upper mid back and shoulders. So you'll take your ball, reach your arms up overhead, and you'll circle the ball to your lower back, really working through stretching the front of the body, the chest, the shoulders, sitting nice and tall in your spine. Last two. Last one. All the way up. Let's reverse the arms. We're going to the left. Four, three, two. One last time. And up. Holding the ball in both of the hands. Side flex up and over to the right. Really rooting down through that left hip. Draw tall through center. Side flex up and over to the left side of the room. Sitting heavier into your right hip. Drawing tall through center. Now I'm going to take the ball down to the floor and roll into the ball, rooting down into that left hip as I reach through the rib cage. Rise all the way up, switch sides, dropping the ball to the left, side flex up and over, breathing into that right rib cage. All the way up tall. We're going to do one more each side, and then we're going to add on. Maybe this time looking up towards the sky. Breathing into those ribs. Rising all the way up. Switching your ball. Taking it over to the left. Reaching up and over. Breathing into those right side ribs. Rising all the way up. Let's switch the ball back over to the right. This time let's take both hands onto the ball and turn down and press away. Still rooting down into that left hip. And rise all the way up. Switching the ball to the other side. Both hands press away. Rounding forward. Stretching through that right side body. And all the way back up. I'm going to take it down onto my belly. So spinning around and laying on down. Your arms this time are going to go on top of the ball. Head is down, legs are long, and we're going to go into swan. So we're going to drag the ball towards us as we lift the heart, the ribs, the chest, the shoulders. Try to relax the glutes and feel the belly pulling in away from the floor. And then lengthen and stretch all the way back out. Root down into your thighs as you lift the heart, drawing up tall in your spine. And then lengthen all the way back out. For 3. 2. Stretching away. One last time, heart lifts. And lengthen all the way back down. Grab the ball in the right hand. We're going to go back into those arm circles. Upper body is slightly hovering from the mat as we circle those arms. Behind your back, all the way overhead. Behind your back, all the way overhead. One more. Reach. We're gonna switch sides, going to the left. Left hand has the ball, circling to the lower back. Neck is nice and long for 3, 2, and 1. Lowering down. Pressing into those forearms, maybe even into those palms, giving one last little swan stretch. Relaxing the glutes to give a deeper stretch into the front side body. And lower down. Let's press up to hands and knees for a few cat and cows. Rounding the spine and lifting the heart, the tail opening. Exhaling, rooting down, curling that tail under, and rising. One more time. Rounding and lifting the heart, the tail. Good. So this time, we're gonna take it to the side. So you have to find a space between your ribs and your hips. It's getting warm now. Sun's beating down. So you wanna not be like too close to your underarm, but more your low rib cage. Okay? So right about here. And also as you're laying down on this, you wanna make sure that your ball is even in the center, that it's not like spitting out too much from the front or the back side. So you may make some adjustments as you're doing this. So I'm taking it all the way down. You can have your bottom leg bent and your top leg straight. We want to stack the shoulders. The ribs are knit together, and then those hips are stacked. I'm going to lengthen my head all the way down onto my left arm, and I'm thinking of gliding my rib to my hip and then lengthening back over. Gotta adjust my ball. Gliding that rib to hip and then lengthening back over. So this bottom arm does float as I lift up. Exhale, float. And I'm trying not to make that hip come to my rib, more the rib flexing down towards my hip, so I feel these obliques kicking in. Last 2. Last 1. And lower. So now I'm going to add in, with my ribs lifting, my top leg lifting. So as I float the upper body, I'm going to float that thigh as well. And then lowering both. Exhale, float, and lower. My leg is reaching out and away from me as my ribs lift. For 4, 3. Exhale for 2. One last time, float and lower. Take this bottom arm behind your head. Your elbow is flush pointing forward. Top hand goes behind the head as well. You can keep your legs bent, one bottom leg bent, top leg straight. To challenge yourself, you can do both legs stacked on top of each other or both legs long and staggered. Because I'm on a hard surface and an uneven one, I'm gonna keep my bottom leg bent. So that top hand goes behind the head. Excuse me. The ribs are zipped towards your hips, and you're gonna lift this bottom shoulder up and down. Exhale, lift and lower. Keeping your focus straight ahead, trying to not look down at where you're going, because that can potentially go into your back. So you want to keep this back nice and long from head to tail. Last 2. Last 1. And lower. Pressing up onto your forearm. Taking your ball out from behind your ribs to the back of your knee. So you just saw me go from sinking into my hip, into my shoulder, into my rib, to lifting up so that I'm in this beautiful long line from my head to my tail, okay? Keeping the ball behind the knee. We're gonna float the leg up and down. Not going too far that the hips move, keeping them steady. Last one, hold it here. Turn the knees down, turn the feet together. Turn the knees together, turn the feet together. Knee to knee, feet to feet. 4, 9, 10, and lower. Keep your feet glued together. Top knee opens and closes. If your neck starts to bother you, you can look down at your elbow or your shoulder. 9, 10, lower down. We're going to lift the leg up to hip level. We're going to sweep the leg forward towards the nose. Draw the leg all the way back in line with the spine so the front of the hip is opening. Bring it back to meet the bottom leg. Lower it down. Lift. Go forward all the way back and lower to meet your bottom leg. Lift. Forward all the way back and lower to meet the bottom leg. 3. Forward all the way back and lower. 4. 5. 6. 2 more. 7. Last one. 8. All the way back. Back in line with the bottom leg. Lower it down. Last version is leg circles. So we're trying to turn this leg socket as much as we can in that hip. All the way back, up and around. 2. 7 and 8. Let's reverse it. Forward, back and around. 2. 7, last one. 8. Let's remove that ball. Press up to seated. Cross your right foot in front of your left thigh. Sitting that right hip down into the mat and twisting towards the back. And then we'll do that all over again on the other side. So again, you have multiple different versions for your legs. You can have bottom leg bent, top leg long, which the angle of the ground for me is going backwards, so I'm sticking with that one. The feet staggered, one forward from the other with both legs long is your modified version, so like more intermediate. More advanced is both feet stacked on top of each other. Okay? So again, I'm going to do the bottom leg bent. Making sure that ball is in the right place for you. Bottom arm is long, top arm is long. Hips, ribs, and shoulders are stacked. I'm going to lower the head down. First is those gliding lifts. We float and we lower. I think we get this whole feeling that this should be a big movement, and it's really not, right? We're only getting it up as high as we can because of the ball. Last 3, last 2, last 1, and lower. Next, we're going to add this leg to lift with us. Deep breath in. Exhale, the leg and the upper body float up as one and lower. I'm feeling this a little bit more in this lower oblique here, closer to my hip and waistline. Two more. Last one. Lower. That bottom arm is going to bend in. Elbow is pointing forward. Top arm goes behind the head. Stacking the shoulders, ribs and hips. Make sure those front ribs are zipped down towards your hips. Your gaze is forward as we lift and lower. Exhale up and down. Trying not to pull on your head or neck at all. Really emphasizing this coming from the left rib cage. For 3, 2, 1, and lower. Pressing yourselves up to seated, taking that ball to the back of your knee. Remembering to lift up out of the ribs, out of the shoulders, and not sink into this hip, but lifting up out of the hip as well. The top thigh is going to float up and down. Trying not to lift as high that the hip starts to fall behind you. Nine, 10. Now we're going to turn knees to touch, feet to touch, knees to touch, feet to touch. 7, 8, 9, 10. Keep feet together. Lower the knee, lift the knee, lower, lift. Last 2, last 1. Lower the leg down. Again, if your neck gets tired, you could always turn your head down towards your elbow. The next one, we're going to lift the thigh, turn it in towards your body, all the way back in line with the spine, stretching the front of that hip, and lower it down. Lift, bring it forward, all the way back without feeling like you're bobbing and weaving forward, and lower the leg down. Lift, front, back, and lower. Lift, front, back, and lower. Two more. Last one. All the way back and lower down. Last version is those hip circles, taking the leg full range of motion all the way up and around. Two more. Last one. Let's reverse it. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's remove that ball. Come to seated. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh, and then turn towards the back, rooting down into this left hip. And then we're going to do one more little series without the ball. We're going to get into those obliques and those hips just a little bit more to finish them off. And then we'll stretch. So we'll come back down Onto that right forearm. Long spine from head to tail. Both of my legs are bent. You're gonna have to find that sweet spot because we're gonna do little modified side planks. So making sure when you lift your hips that your hips and knees end up in a long line. So you don't want your knees too far forward or too far back. So I think I'm in a good spot, kind of a low angle towards my mat. So I'm rooting down into my forearm, my elbow and shoulder are stacked. I'm gonna take my right arm down by my side. This is a mermaid side plank. So we're gonna lift the hips and stretch up and over with that top arm. And we're gonna tap those hips down for 5. Exhale, reaching up and over and tap it down for 4. Lift. For 3. Exhale up. For 2, one last time. Lift and lower. Next one, right arm goes straight up to the sky. We're going to lift and we're going to thread the needle. Turn to the back, back to the center. Lower those hips down. Lift those hips. Twist those ribs. Back to the center. Lower down. Exhale for 3. Feeling that cinching of the waistline as you're rotating. 2. One last time. Lift, twist, draw back center, and lower. I'm going to take my right hand to my hip. We're going to add in those glutes, not that they haven't been working already. We're going to lift the hips, open the top knee, close, and lower for 5. Lift. Open and close for 4. Keeping those shoulders, ribs, and hips stacked for 3, 2, and 1. Last round, we're going to stay lifted. Lift those hips, open those knees for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press yourselves up to seated. I'm keeping my legs bent. And I'm going to turn my left hand to my shins and just fold my body down towards my thighs so I feel this lovely stretch in that left side that we just worked. And then let's swing those legs around to do it all over again on the other side. It's also hard for me because I'm trying to make sure I don't have any rocks underneath me at any point. Those hips or those arms. All right, the beauty of working out in nature, right? Shoulders, ribs, and hips are stacked. Elbow and shoulder is stacked. Top arm, left arm's down by my side. Mermaid side planks. We're gonna lift those hips and stretch that waistline up to the sky and then drop those hips back down. Exhaling to lift and reach and lower. I'm kind of squeezing my hips forward as I lift those hips. So it's opening that whole front side body. We got one more. Lift, reaching up and over and lowering down. This one's thread the needle. That left arm goes up to the sky. We're gonna lift those hips and we're twisting to the back, back to the center, lower down. Lift, rotate, center, and lower for 3, 2, one more time. Lift, rotate, center, and lower. Now we're going to add in those hips. So first one, lift the hips, top knee opens and closes, lower the hips. Lift, open and close, and lower for 3, 2, 1, lower. Now we're staying lifted, open, closing those knees. Hips up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lower. Keep those legs bent in. Press yourselves up to seated, taking that right arm to your thigh and pulling yourselves down
towards your thighs, stretching your hips out.
And then we can swing those legs around. Soles of your feet together, knees wide, pressing your knees into the mat as you lean forward, stretching out those hips. Maybe taking those legs out wide to the side, and then stretching up and over to the right, breathing into that left waistline, heavy hips into the mat as you stretch out those obliques. Rising all the way up, taking it over to the left, rooting down into that right hip, breathing into that right side body. Rising up. And we are all through. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the lovely noise of the creek side beside me. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you.